Before we get into today's weekend wash-up, just a quick one. Our wash-up fantasy guide and draft rankings cheat sheet is now available over on our Patreon shop for $10 or free to all wash-up Patreon members. For just $5 a month, we'll be providing even more content throughout the preseason and into the home and away season, including updated rankings throughout the year, our Wednesday live pods, a draft league with myself, Dave, and other members, and access to the members-only Discord where we'll be answering team questions. I probably wouldn't listen to us. If you're not yet part of the Discord, don't worry, you can still join for free where like-minded coaches, including ourselves, can continue to rant about why this game shits us. All links are in the bio, and shout out to the legends who've already jumped on board. Now, on to today's episode. In today's preseason special, we've got a special guest into the studio to help us decide which rookies are destined for our round one classic sides. It's time for the weekend wash-up.
Get around him! Get around him! Push up! Oh, and he's talking a bit of trash too!
What a joker.
He's coming off. Get him back off. Get him off. Get him off. Get him off. Rocket. We can't hear.
Disgusting! That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's doing this! That's why he's the GOAT!
Yes, that's right. We are back again for another preseason special. I am your host, as always, Matt Craig. And joining me, as always, is Bushy. But on my right, I've got a special guest here, a hero of the fantasy community, some would say, our residential rookie expert, Fry. G'day, mate. How are you?
I'm good, lads. Thanks for having me in. First time, long time. I'm excited to be joining the Wash Up crew, talking rookies. I know that I'm not the only one who's keen to see some fantasy footy, and I've spent too many hours already dedicated to my team. So, yeah, it's nice to be on.
No, absolutely. And I tell you, I mentioned this last week. My rookies are generally a bit of a disaster, but last year I took it to a whole new level. So I thought, we've got to get someone in to fucking put me straight, get me onto the right rookies here, because I've tended to not pay up in the past. And I think this year, maybe in particular, we're going to have to look at doing that. So you put a list together for us. We'll dive into that, but maybe just first, take us through your fantasy background, your fantasy history, and how long you've been playing.
It's not exactly a great resume that I've got to my name. I reckon the first couple of years I was playing, I would be one of those ghost ships that like halfway through would lose interest.
Oh, yes.
I would just trade in my favourite players and not really understand what I'm doing. But yeah, I've been writing, I figured it out earlier, I've been writing for the Dream Team Talk Boys for 7 years now. So going into the 8th year,
that's awesome.
doing the cash cows for them. So yeah, I would be described, I guess, as a battler in the fantasy community, but I've always seemed to nail the rooks. I reckon if you and I combined our powers, we'd have about 5 hats between us.
No. I left this off the run sheet, but I've got to ask, mate. So for someone so clued in, you're a smart guy and you've played fantasy for a while. Where does it all go wrong?
So, mate, if I knew the answer,
he'd have 5 caps.
If we can figure this out, we've unlocked the secret.
Yeah, that's actually why I'm here, is I'm going to learn from you boys. I think I get too cute and overthink it. Like there was a time last year where Brady Hoff was in my team because he went into the midfield for a bit, and I was like, righto, Brady Hoff, he's going to make me some coin, and then I got to the lockout and I was like, why the fuck is Brady Hoff sitting in my team? What am I doing?
That is sounding very similar to my round one side.
Yeah.
So
it can overthinking it, but like I said, I tend to nail a lot of the rooks and do a lot of homework on the draftees, the cash cows. So hopefully can help the wash up community find a couple of blokes that'll do us good in 2026.
Please do. Maybe just while we're here. So how is your round one team lining up? Early days. How are you looking?
Pretty vanilla. I don't think there's anyone in there that's got like much less than 15, 20% ownership. But I think I'm pretty bullish on starting Errol Goulden. He's someone that even with that early buy, I'm like, I reckon he could push M1 status for the year. Maybe just take the hit because the midline tends to be where we get a lot of those good rookies, and just hopefully, use a little bit of loophole action to try and get a decent 60 or 70 the week he's out.
Yeah.
But I've got Rosé sitting there at the moment. McKercher, Jack Steele's in the team. A lot of the, I said, the popular names. I'm on the Sheasel bandwagon. Yeah, definitely think you need to pick him. There's some,
I'm not letting anyone not.
There's
pick
some in the community that I'm seeing put the case forth that you can't.
We talk about getting cute.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
it is. Yeah.
And Connor McDonald, I reckon He's probably the most rogue guy that I've got in my team. But
Yeah.
I've had him in a keeper league for about 3 years now, so I might be trying to manifest big
chips.
scores by starting him, but he's someone I'm bullish on as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've had him in keeper for a few years, and I haven't checked our keeper side this year, but I'm pretty sure I cashed in last year. So that might have been bad timing because I've heard it's one of those things where he's probably not in many sides at the moment, but in pre-season, if he comes out and dominates, all of a sudden he's in your template.
Yeah.
You know, we build around that because it sounds like he's in for more midfield time.
And he's got one of those buys that I think we can like kind of cover. Like round 3, there's a couple of other teams on, but you know, no one's picking a lot of Hawks this year. So
Yeah.
I think best 18 makes that easy enough.
yeah, true.
In terms of just covering those value guys. It's interesting. We just recorded the midfield episode.
We
and
did.
I got talked into Goulden by a couple of comments we've had
yeah?
on. Because I came out flat out, buys, I'm not spending anyone over $1 million. And the more I looked at it, I was like, well, Caleb Sarong's sitting in my team. Am I comfortable with that? Is he in your team?
Nah.
And you're a Freo fan.
As a Dockers man, I don't have Sarong, Brayshaw, Young. I got Jackson.
Yeah,
He's made his
okay.
way into R2
Okay.
over the last week or two. But I think I'm just going to be paying up for like whoever the top line guys are in that spot.
Yeah.
So-
I think that's all I needed to hear on just to confirm my thoughts. The Freo fans in here not
it's
picking him.
just one of those like I've been glued into a lot of the like Twitter stuff of how they're looking on the track. I've got a couple of mates that work at the club as well.
Oh,
And it
okay.
sounds like as a team, like they're all trying to move faster, do this and this, and, you know, try and go one better.
To not bore you to death.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
but, you know, I'm like, I kind of want them to be a bit boring, so that means there's +6s around and like
Right,
a couple
yeah.
more stoppages. It just sounds like, unless they're blowing teams out of the water, they're going to be just like one of those, oh, yeah, Caleb Sarong's got 95 or a flat 100. Brayshaw will have 120, then he'll go back to having an 80.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like there's a lot of meat on the bone
No.
at Freo, but could prove me wrong.
No, or we kind of discussed similar terms that, well, that actually was what they scored last year. It wasn't injuries. It wasn't anything else affecting it.
Yeah.
We're kind of just holding out on hope that they start scoring well. Obviously, rookies are a key to our round 1 team structure. Is they dictate your structure, as I mentioned in our guide.
Yeah.
But I think it was literally that it sounds so bloody obvious, and we've all known it for years. But the longer we played the fantasy version, the more trades we had, the looser I became with my starting teams in terms of, I can just fix this guy up. Mid-prices, we can start taking more risks, to the point where I feel like my team structure was almost dictated by the value guys. So those Riley Sanders last year, Perryman, Matt Roberts, Harley Reid is a guy I'd love this year. But I think the rookies are really, what we need a structure around. If we're heavy on rookies, obviously we've got more money to spend up elsewhere. If there's lines where we're struggling, we might need to look for value. So how are we looking for rookie depth, Fry, in 26?
I think we're fine. Like every year, there's like, I don't know about this. There's always one portion of the season where someone says we've got a rookie crisis. But
Yep.
I think
Has to be mentioned.
Yeah, the
Fantasy
biggest
bingo.
boost to like the rookies and the cash cows potential has been the mid-season draft. Like I think every year for the last 3 or 4 years, there's been one, maybe two. Like think Tom McCarthy last year. That was just a gift for fantasy gods.
That was so good.
So guys like that always pop up, and it always tends to happen when you're like, all right, I've got a rookie that he's been fine. He's averaging about 60.
Yeah.
But like now you go down to him and you facilitate an easy upgrade. So
Yes.
look, there was a lot of talk about how average this draft class was, but I still think they're going to play, and I still think they're going to score more than the 20 they're priced at. So I think we're okay. There's a couple of lines where it might be a little bit more dire, and there might be some cash cows as well that take a while to break through. Like there's some that I'll mention that probably won't be in the team round 1 or won't be in our starting sides, but they're definitely players that need to keep that little like star icon or keep it in the black book and make sure you pull the trigger when they do get picked.
Nice. No, it feels like the rookie crisis gets thrown around almost every season.
Absolutely.
When was the last time we actually had one? Have we ever had one? I'm not sure it's ever.
Well, I
come to
reckon
fruition.
every season I go to, you're planning out your trades the last month or so. I'm like, all right, this is the guy I want to get. And then you always end up, you're like, oh, that guy's like 450K and he's still sitting on my bench and I got no trades left. Like you always end up with more cash on your bench, I find.
Yeah.
There's always enough rookies, especially like how clued in the fantasy community is these days. Like we get the reserve stats, we get all the like coaches' insights on how they performed, the role they played. And now that the sub's gone, there might still be some that have that lower time on ground when they play.
Yeah.
But we've got the new time on ground threshold rule as well. So
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of tools, I think, that will help fantasy coaches succeed despite maybe a lack of actual playing rookies.
No, absolutely. Now, you've been kind enough to put together a list of your top 10 must-have rookies for Fantasy Classic in 2026. So I'll let you kind of take the floor here and take us through some of the names that we really need to be considering, if not locking into our preseason sides.
All right. I will say I deliberated over this list for way too long. And then I looked at it and I was like,
it's a big podcast, mate.
It's early February. Like, just take a step back. So I think that there's a clear couple. Guide. And then there's a little bit of a drop-off after about half a dozen.
Okay.
And you can throw a blanket over another 10 or so. But bloke that I got 10th on the list is Lockie Carmichael. He was the Sydney Swans Academy pick. The Dogs put a bid on him and Swans didn't match. So the Bulldogs picked him up, injured his syndesmosis a couple of weeks ago. So
that was actually the first time I'd heard his name. Apparently, I didn't realise I was meant to be locking him in.
Yeah, so he's just a jet halfback. Like, he averaged nearly 20 kicks in the Coates Talent League. Like, one of those little nuggety halfbacks that I reckon will just come in, be able to get +6s and be a really good contributor. I think he's probably one that won't be in the round one mix with that syndesmosis, but will play a couple of VFL games and then hopefully there's a bloke that's made 100, 150K, or as we're trying to navigate the early buys, his name pops up. So remember Lockie Carmichael, because I think he'll score well when he does come in.
Upgrade target.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice.
I kind of cheated. I looped the next two together. So I got the two Richmond boys, Sam Grill and Sam Cunning. So Grill, I watched a bit of his tape and he looks a lot like Zach Butters with like that explosiveness, and it sounds like he's been playing down back with a little bit of mid-time, but more like half-back. And there'll be a passage of play, I could guarantee it, where he'll get the footy, burr through the middle of the ground, someone will give him a handball back and he'll like take a bounce or two, kick a snag. Like, he's an exciting type.
Right.
So a bit more flash than probably substance, so he might not score a ton, but
impact player.
Yeah, but I don't know off the top of my head what Butters scored when he was a rookie, but I reckon he'll follow like that similar trajectory.
I would trust Dave.
Yeah. And Sammy Cumming is the guy that'll be at the other end of the ground. Like, he's not a deep forward, but he'll be like that half forward link type. Play a bit similar to like Murphy Reid last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Similar to kind of Lawler as well.
Yeah. I think Lawler, he's a bit like stockier and like more of that inside ball. Cummings a bit more, seems a bit silkier.
Okay.
But I think like those three, Sam Lawler, Sam Grill, Sam Cumming, are like the future of Richmond's midfield. So Nick Vloston and Jaden Short both had like separate interviews and they were talking both these guys up. Like, they're going to be in round one. Yeah. Sounds like Sam Grill's a bit of a character, like one of the guys that in your footy locker room is just like way too energetic and way too switched on all the time.
Yeah, okay.
But you need those guys in your team. So throws a spanner in the works maybe for team chemistry, but I reckon he'll G up the fantasy boys in our team. So they're two guys that I reckon, you might not have to call them must-haves.
Yeah.
Grill has defender status as well, which is a perk. But they're guys, if you're lacking and you're happy to pay up, I think can definitely boost your lines.
So you reckon the job security there is pretty solid?
Yeah, I think I probably should have said this before I dug into the list, but my philosophy with the rookies is I think we have to pay up for these guys. Like, I would much rather, at the moment on my bench, I've got, just quickly skimming, there's 6 guys over 300K.
Yep.
And I just find that, if we pick, what's his name? Camberelli from last year.
Yes.
Plays a game and then he's out. I'm like, all right, he probably sat in our teams for weeks and he's got 240, 250K on his head. If we pick Willem Dersma and he gets hurt, then all of a sudden it's like, all right, I've got an extra $100,000 that I could potentially move with. And again, the break even for, let's pick Willem Dersma, is 33. So as long as these guys are half competent, they're going to keep making a bit of coin.
Yeah. Well, I think
finding the 230K guys that have that huge amount of value is where you have the winning picks. But
because I kind of did mention that Camperelli pick because I had him and it hurt me. But it was even probably the worst case scenario for these guys was the Foss.
Yeah.
Fino Sullivan, the Spin King, struggled pumping out 20s all season. But at the end of the day, he stayed in the side. He probably averaged 45 to 50.
Yeah.
And in the end, he actually got himself up towards 500K. Now, it was the slowest of slow burns, but still, he was then downgradable towards the end of the season. So I think that, and if that's like your worst case scenario, they're locked on my bench, those two. So
Yeah, and the guys that you pay up for, like the early draftees, you're always the one that have that inflated price tag. They're the ones that are probably playing the most footy anyway. So, look, you pick Finn O'Sullivan. I think I had him until about his bye round. He's averaging 40 odd. I'm like, it's not great, but he's made 150 grand.
Yeah,
I'm like, he hasn't gone backwards. He hasn't not played. So there'll be some of these guys again that will get injured. There'll inevitably be some shuffling we have to do. But if you pay up for a couple, I think it just gives you a lot more flexibility and gives you the chance to then go in a lot of different directions.
I think that is words of wisdom for me, especially.
Yeah.
What are you paying up for on your bench currently? Because I have 5 over 300 grand
on my bench.
Just uncharted territory for me.
5.
Yeah.
over
Okay.
300.
There we go. So we're thinking similar. So no, paying up for those guys with the job security, and I mean clubs, if they're drafting him in the top 10, really you'd be slightly concerned if they weren't
100%.
getting a gig.
Yeah. Unless they're injured or for some reason they're on like a modified program. They'd be wanting to get games into them.
Oh, mate, Bo.
So.
Yeah, Bo Allen. Yeah, far out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If he gets a gig this year.
Yeah, he was the guy. I think I brought him in round 1 and I was like, he can be my loophole. He's my only like non-playing rookie.
Yeah.
Stayed in the side way too long.
Yeah.
So, here's a professional segue. Devin Robertson, his new teammate's number 8 on the list.
Nice.
He is the only forward I have in the top 10 at the moment. So 232K. We know his story about being at Brisbane. I had a little bit of a look. He averaged 45 points from his 47 games he played at Brisbane, including all the finals. So it's not a great track record.
Yeah.
But in the VFL, those numbers pretty much doubled. So he was just obviously lacking that opportunity. I do wonder how much midfield clock he's going to get at West Coast. Like, I don't expect him to be thrown in and be like a 70% centre bounce guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he's playing a bit like half forward, a bit on the wing. So he's one that I'm going to watch very clearly in the Pracky games and see what that role is, regardless of score. It's just I want to see where he's near the footy.
Yeah.
But at basement price, he's owned third most owned rookie at the moment. And I think he's a safe like F5, F6 that we can play and hope he can just churn out a couple of decent scores.
Cool.
West Coast sounds like they've been into him for years as well. So
yeah, I think we have been keen for a while. And I think back to what we said about the slow burns that we were paying up for. Well, if we get a guy like that with solid job security at 230, even if he averages 45, he's going to put a couple $100 grand on his price.
Yep.
So,
and he's a guy that we could have in our teams sitting on field for the first 6 weeks, and then someone up the list who I might mention, one of those gun mids, grabs forward status, and then all of a sudden it's an easy thanks for your service, Dev. You're out.
Yeah.
This other guy's coming down.
Oh, good point.
That is a very good point, because I hadn't thought of it this way. But I mean, obviously, half forward flank for the Eagles, slightly concerning. You might get some poor scores there. But in best 18s from rounds 2 to 5, we're covering that anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you probably, unless you got 5 scores of under 50, like, you're going to be able to, cover that and get rid of those few really poor scores.
Yeah.
Then by the time round 6 hits and we're back to best 22s, that's when DPPs come. And you're right, then if some of those midfield rookies do grab forward status, then we might not ever need to field him.
No, it happens every year. Like Levi Ashcroft picked it up last year.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on all the others, but everyone can think of the like top draftees and the top stars.
Yeah.
They always
Lawler
tended to
got it.
add another position. Lawler got it.
Yeah.
And there's always, it gives you just that extra bit of flexibility to be like, all right, thanks for your service, Devin Robertson. You've got me through the first quarter of the fantasy season. Now I can like target a guy like, I don't know, Lockie Carmichael comes back in about that time.
Yep.
Use your DPP and bang, you're away.
Awesome.
I love it.
His teammate, Josh Lindsay's number 7 on the list.
Okay.
Now, I'm huge on this guy.
Right.
He's probably my favourite draftee. Like, if I was a keeper league coach, he'd be one that I'd take in the top couple.
Okay.
But it just sounds like he's not going to play early, and it sounds like there's going to be a lot of ball going around between the halfbacks. Your Duggan, Baker, Starcevic is a guy they're not exactly, like, he's not an accumulator, but he's still going to touch the footy.
Yeah.
And they're going to have him in the team every week. So if there were more guarantees that he was going to be playing, I'd probably have him like top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Best kick out of this draft class.
Yeah.
Seems like he's going to be an elite fantasy player for years to come. But just given the fact that the ball's going to be in West Coast defence a lot, you're going to want the pros and the co-captains having it in their hands.
True.
Wouldn't be surprised if Tom McCarthy, like when he wasn't in the midfield, was down there a bit, maybe even taking some kick out. So,
yeah,
Lindsay's one that, I'm really bullish on, and the like dynasty coaches out there and keeper league coaches. Keep him in your memory bank when draft night rolls around. But yeah, it might be a couple of years before we see his like true fantasy wares come to the fore.
Okay.
It's funny, like last year's draft class, it's probably the closest menu have ever followed a draft class being locked in a likely number one pick.
Yeah.
And we're watching these under 18s highlights and who we picking, like blah, blah, blah. And Lindsay was a guy that at stages was almost like in top 5 conversations.
Yeah.
And then obviously slid to us, down near pick 20.
Yeah, it was
down,
like 18, 20.
Something like that.
So I think we traded up for him. So they obviously rate him. And I think at some point he will come in. But I think maybe similar to Bo Allen at the start of last year, just the lack of talk coming out of preseason, whereas Richmond were hearing, these guys, should be playing round 1.
It's very true. Yeah.
I haven't heard I don't even know if I've heard Lindsay's name mentioned.
Nah.
Yeah. So, it kind of feels like he might not be there in round 1. But I think hopefully when he does come in, he's a good pickup for us.
Yeah, and I might be like pumping up his top. Like he might be a guy that becomes a second or third year breakout. That that's the year that we pick him. He plays a couple of games, and then we're like rolling into this time next year. We're like, he's still priced under 400K because he had that like rough run or only played 8 games. But yeah, I just rate his talents, and I think that he's going to be a really great player for West Coast in the long term. So
nice. Let's hope so.
Wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't mention him. Another Eagle pops in at number 6 with Willem Dersma.
Okay.
So job security seems like it's going to be an absolute lock.
Yeah.
Seems like he's a super talent, but I bumped him down a little bit because he's got that.
I thought he might be higher.
He's got that dreaded utility label.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, are they going to put him at half forward or play him out of the cage at times or send him behind the footy when, to be a calm head or like try and get some peel down there? But yeah, it's just one that I think it would take a little bit of time to kind of piece it all together. He should have some like pop scores, and he's in my team, and I'm pretty bullish on picking him, whether it be at your M8, M9, M10 utility, if you want to throw him in there even.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy that we've got to have. He played a couple of VFL games last year and put out numbers of 79, scores of 79 and 80.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Against like other pros, he's like shown that he can score okay.
Yeah.
But, I've reeled off 3 West Coast guys, haven't talked about Harley Reid, but there's only going to be so many points going around. And I do think that West Coast are going to take a bit of a jump this year, and they're going to start to like climb up the ladder and score more points.
I
but
bloody hope so.
they're probably not pushing for finals, and they're probably not going to be a great fantasy outlet.
Yeah.
Let's not put a cap
Let's
on
not put a ceiling on
No,
it.
100%.
I think you've been a bit optimistic there.
Let me hope, at least until the fucking season
Until you
starts.
see them on the park, at least. Yeah.
Round 1, Sunday, Albert Optus. Fuck me, second quarter.
Yeah.
Head and hands, yeah.
So, I again, he's a guy that wouldn't shock me if he finished a year as like a top 3 cash cow or a rookie.
Yeah.
But I'm just tempering expectations a bit, mainly team-based, and just to see where he's deployed.
That's fair.
It's probably fair.
Yeah.
I might have been getting carried away with my thoughts on what he can score. But, I mean, I've heard discussions of maybe not picking him. Surely we're all locking him in somewhere.
Again, I think that's probably just getting a bit too cute, right?
Okay.
Like, he's playing. He's going to be, he may have a couple of 40s or 50s in a row, but I don't think that he's a guy that they're going to drop and send back to the waffle to get touched. Like,
No. I hope not. I hope it's not that bad. I think also, even if you said he might pop, and I think he's that type of guy that will be inconsistent, but if you get that 80 or 90 one week, that's going to make his break even all of a sudden negative, what have you.
Yeah.
And then you ride that wave for a few weeks, and then if it's inconsistent, right, we can move him on.
And he makes $100,000 from his starting price. That's already mid 400s. So again, because of that inflated price tag, the most expensive draftee, like I'm super bullish every year on paying up for these guys that are playing early. And, I haven't, again, heard lots about him throughout the preseason, but I have seen like glimpses of Harley Reid and a few others saying he's looking the goods.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like he's going to be anywhere but on a wing starting round 1. So, I think, ignoring him, unless there's a couple of other guys that pop out of nowhere and there's other cash cows that emerge as options,
Yeah.
he's probably one that I'd pick. Next on the list, number 5, Jacob Farrow. He's got the local lad from West Perth. Got a lot of comparisons to Hayden Young and Jordan Dawson, that like taller, midfield type, going to start his career at half-back and then push into the mid. So
Dominant.
Yeah, he's someone that will probably be at D5, D6 for me to start the year.
Oh, wow.
Defender mids. So, there's a lot of defender mids up for grabs this year. So I think I've got a couple flirting with starting them in my midfield.
Yeah.
And that'll help kind of cover that round 3 bye, round 4 bye when you've got some of the guys resting. So he could be one, sounds like he's going to be penciled in for Essendon's round 1 team.
I have heard his name a lot in pre-season. In fact, almost out of all the pre-season, the rookies, he might be the name I've heard of the most in terms of
there was a Best 23 article that I looked at over some point last week, and I was like, oh, it's got Jordan Ridley on the field, it's got him on the emergency, and then I was like, it just needs one of these Essendon guys to go down.
I guarantee.
So he's definitely in the side.
So, yeah, it'll happen before bloody scratch matches start. So, providing he's in, I think, we saw last year guys like Jackson Pryor, Zach Reed, they weren't exactly household fantasy names, but they were still able to put in some massive
They
body
chipped
of
it
work.
about back there.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, don't want to wish an injury on anyone, but if a Mason Redman, Jordan Ridley, one of those other rookies I mentioned before, goes down, Farrow comes up and he's scoring 70 plus pretty consistently.
Nice. I'd imagine he's quite highly selected at the moment. He's in my side, 35% at the moment. So, I mean, if he's looking good in pre-season, that number's probably only going to continue to rise.
I reckon it'll keep climbing. Yeah, for sure. I did have his teammates next on the board at, what are we, number 4, Dyson Sharp. Mm-hmm. I've chopped and changed Dyson Sharp and Dan Annable between 3 and 4, but I think, again, with it being too cute, Dan Annable sounds like an absolute gun. I think Brisbane will just find room for him. So I bumped him up to 3, Dyson Sharp sitting at number 4. He was probably the best fantasy player in the under-18s last year.
I wanted us to pick him.
Yeah, averaged, what have I got here, 106.8 with 27 touches, 5 tackles, 4.5 marks. So just that really aesthetically pleasing, full fantasy stat sheet. He tackled, he marked, he kicked snags. He was the best player in the under-18 carnival as well, fantasy-wise. So I do think that he's going to be one that just comes in. And again, talking about those injuries, like Parrish, Caldwell, some of those Essendon mids do tend to miss a bit of time. If there is an opportunity that opens up for him to play a little bit more mid, then he's someone that should just be dominating and put up tons of scores.
No, I remember watching some of his highlights at the under-18s because I think he won Best Player at the Championship.
Yeah.
And you're hearing a lot of this draft talk, like he's too slow, is he going to fit the modern game, whatever. I would have thought it tends to happen that the best midfielder in the competition at the under-18s is probably going to turn out to be a pretty good midfielder.
You'd hope so, yeah.
At AFL. He might not be ticking all the boxes in terms of the, 40-metre sprints or whatever they do.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to come in and be a gun.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the comp that I've got at the moment is think about how Harvey Langford went last year.
Yeah.
There might be a couple of, it's halfway through the fourth quarter and this bloke's on 30.
Yeah.
But there'll be games, he's playing that half forward and he'll come into the contest and he'll really be quite visual and be he looks elite.
Yeah.
Doesn't get your fantasy points to look good, but I think, he'll get enough of the footy to hopefully score really well. And again, there's only potential upside if another injury strikes.
So you reckon half forward for him to start?
Yeah, it sounds that way from the other bits and pieces I've been reading. I think whether if they've got Parrish, Caldwell, Merritt all healthy.
True, yeah.
Throwing in a Durham.
Yeah.
Durham type of role is probably pretty similar, I say, half forward.
Yeah.
Might be in there for a centre bounce or two. I think he's just going to prove himself to be so good that Brad Scott's just going to want him closer to the footy.
I mean, it's weird to say Essendon's midfield stacked, but they are kind of stacked with solid players.
Yeah.
But there you go. There's your mid forward, potential DPP throwing forward round 6.
Yeah.
He's locked in for me.
He's in my side. Yeah.
Sitting probably next to Dan Annable, who, like I said, I just thought, I was like, how is Brisbane going to find room for him? Looking through their best 22 and then the guys who are in the emergencies, I was like, maybe I'll bump him down the order a little bit. But we were talking about it before we started recording.
Yeah.
He's just lit up like a match sim at Brisbane. It just sounds like he is ready to go, even more so maybe than Levi Ashcroft was last year. And they found room for him.
Yeah.
They've lost a couple of pieces in the off-season. There's inevitably going to be people that go down, like Lockie Neal's 32.
Yep.
Josh Dunkley's nearly 30. there's all these guys are starting to they're going to start to transition into the next era and still be bloody good doing it. So, the Ashcroft boys and Dan Annable are their future. So I think they're just going to keep pumping games into them. So
Brisbane are a bloody scary side, aren't they?
Yeah.
We've got Neil and Dunkley and all these McCluggage and all these guns in their prime at the end. And then, we've got Levi Ashcroft and Will Ashcroft and now Dan Annable coming through. Fuck me.
Yeah, it's a bit unfair.
It's not really fair, is it? And he wasn't happy with... What was he not happy with about the Saints? Chris Fagan?
Yeah.
Mentioning, talking about and how much they're paying the AFL. And I like the way the Saints CEO clapped back because they've got a ridiculous stack of talent there.
They have had it absolutely handed to them. They're man Gold Coast, but for whatever reason, it seems like the Brisbane boys are the ones that fantasy coaches are going to remember, and they're the ones that are just going to light it up. So.
No, he's from all reports, he sounds like just a gun.
Yeah. Averaged, what have I got written down here? Played 8 VFL games last year and averaged 76. So
he might even be good enough to maybe keep on your draft at the end of your draft boards.
Yeah.
In terms of if he picks up forward status and can score well, he could be a game changer even in draft.
Yeah, depending on how deep your league is, I think there's enough merit in finding room for Annable. He's going to be a jet.
Very
so
good.
is Zeke Euland, who's number 2 on the list. There was a stress fracture in his back that limited him last year, but everyone's comparing him to Errol Goulden. I saw this. There was these Instagram reels that I was kind of scrolling through of just like AFL players doing off-season training work. There was one of Petrarca since he's gone up to the Gold Coast doing this like running pattern. And I was like, who's the bloke he's training with? I was like, oh, that's Zeke Euland. And then did a bit more digging. It sounds like since Zeke's got to the club, he's just shadowed Petrarca. He's been like, any extras you're doing, I'm training with you.
Yeah.
So
he's hungry.
He's going to come, I reckon my money's on him being like the top scoring rookie in round 1. Like, come out of the gates bursting like a house on fire. Scoring-wise, he only averaged 67 last year and played 4 games. But the year before that, he went at 98 from 4 games with the Suns Academy. And like I said, doing all those extras with Petrarca, and you've been compared to Goulden. So, fuck yeah. Thanks for coming.
It's weird. I haven't actually heard too much about him in pre-season. So I've had him locked in my side on my field, obviously.
Yeah.
Knowing the ability and yet the comparisons. But I hadn't actually heard anything pre-season. So I'm looking forward to watching him in the match sim in pre-season and watching him go about it.
I wonder if they're like trying to keep it under wraps a little bit of how good he looks. I mean, I haven't heard a lot either. I'm just going off little pieces that I've seen.
I mean, they're out of the spotlight out there in Gold Coast. There's not too much footy media press at every training. So, he's going to be a gun.
Yeah, he's 58% owned with that defender mid status. Like, for that reason, there's 42% of the comp. I reckon you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And he's one that's got an early buy, but with that defender mid status, you can kind of chop him around a couple of spots. That's why I think it's probably not exactly a great secret, but having a defender mid link in your midfield this year could be quite beneficial just to help navigate if you want to start a Goulden and a Euland and like some of these other guys who have got Walshy's another popular name.
It's
because usually it's like, defender mid, we're putting you in defence and then we'll find a way to link later. And I'm usually that way as well. But I think this year, like even if you've got one in your utility or something, it might be a way that you can helpfully toggle pieces around when those buys start to roll in.
Yes, because I currently don't have a defender in there, but it's a great point because I do have Goulden in there and I've got all these buy players that... But I mean, I've kind of just trusted the best 18. I'll just blindly roll with it. But you're right. I definitely should be looking a little into that DPP. And it's probably another reason to spend up on your bench on these, because if you've got a Grill from Richmond or, that doesn't have the buy, obviously no buyer, that he could just come in, fill in for old Zeke.
Exactly. Yeah. Just plug him in for the week, hope that and then,
cross your fingers.
Just keep moving magnets through those like best of 18 rounds, and it might be that Grill pops for one of those weeks, and hopefully the way you're able to loop players and the new time on ground threshold, you're like, I've actually benefited from his big score.
Very good.
I don't think it's a surprise who number 1 is.
Nope.
I think very similar with Harry Sheasel, this should be the most picked bloke in the game. Jagger Smith had a game in 2024 that he had 50 touches in the Coates Talent League. And ACL obviously robbed him of his rookie season, so he is just the easiest of walk-up starters at 230k. I got no dramas plugging him in, watching him score near 80 every week, and keeping him until like my last on-field upgrade, I reckon. So
you're sticking the knife in and you're just slowly twisting it for me. This is going to hurt. watching Jagger. As an Eagles fan, obviously could have got him, gave up the pick to bring in old Bo and Liam Baker, and just from, obviously he lost last year, which was unlucky, but it sounds like he's a gun. I mean, you don't have 50 touches by fluke, do you?
Nah.
It's the kind of stuff Tom Mitchell was doing.
I was going to try and come with some other stuff and do some more numbers on him. And I've got literally one sentence of just the easiest walk-up starter.
Yeah. No, it is.
Why would you not?
Yeah.
So,
that's the top 10.
Very interesting. Now, obviously, we're going to need more than 10 rookies in our side, and there are quite a few other names floating around. So do you kind of have a bit of a best of the rest list there?
I do. I did a second 10.
Oh, wow. A second 10.
Because I'm a serious sicko. And at the top of it, I've got probably the guy sitting in utility for everyone at the moment.
Yes.
Patrick Rechko from Richmond.
Nice.
Seems like job security is going to be solid. I am getting scared that it's just going to be Lucas Camberelli all over again. We're going to pick him. He's going to play on the wing.
Right, yeah.
And then he's going to spud it up. And we're going to have to just be stuck with a red dot.
Because he's been one of the hottest names in pre-season. I kind of had him. I thought he might be further up the list in terms of he's going to play on the wing for Richmond, and it sounds like he's got that role locked in. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I'm probably looking at
right.
Glass half empty. He was in the top 10, but then I felt
contractually
obligated to mention Carmichael because I think he's going to be better numbers
No,
wise.
very good.
That.
I've got Cooper Duff-Tytler sitting here as well, because it's not often that we get a green dot at R3.
Yeah.
And again, he's one of the ones that I've paid up for and is sitting there at the moment.
Yep.
And if we're picking a ruck that has one of those early buys, you're like, cross my fingers, I might just play Duff-Tytler there. But I reckon he's going to score like Archer Reed did last year. He'll be averaging 40s. He's going to be a long-term project. I had a look because a lot of people were comparing him to Luke Jackson, but Mike Schefter.
The
draft guru. He was like, he's much more like Tom de Koning.
Right.
And I had a look, and Tom de Koning was doing the similar thing at the start of his fantasy career. A couple of 40s, pop for a 60, and then kick a couple of goals here and there. But he's a long-term project.
Yeah.
West Coast's still going to have Matty Flynn doing a lot of their ruck, or Baz Williams if Flynn is injured, I do think. So
we might as well not have a ruck, to be honest.
Yeah.
As soon as he's ready for it, he's going to get a crack at it. I mean, it was funny because, as we said, we were looking at the draft quite closely last year, and everyone was comparing CDT to Luke Jackson.
Yeah.
But if you actually went and looked at their similar under-18 stats, Luke Jackson was a dominant ruck at the time. I think he averaged almost 40 hit-outs a game, plus the 20 to spot. He was just ridiculous. Whereas Duff-Tyler was a lot less hit-outs. Obviously great around the ground, could kick a goal going forward, but was a prototype ruck sort of thing. So I don't think he's not going to come out and be the Eagles R1 anytime soon.
And I'm, like I said, it's not often we do get a guy that we're like, we could have 30 green dots and we know this guy is going to get some games into him. But he's one that I reckon you could see kind of chop and change. Maybe they give him a full game in the waffle as a ruck to develop that craft rather than playing him 20 AFL games. He might be 50-50 AFL and waffle this year.
I don't think my R3's ever made me any money. Ever. So I'm happy I think I'm going to pay up here. And look, I don't know how reliable the source was, but people are saying he's looking close to the second best player at the club.
Wow.
So I've heard good, exciting things. Let's put it that way. I don't think it's all going to happen this year, but fingers crossed.
He's
sitting
at R3 for me as well.
And
I'm like, it's a game of trying to get points and get the value, trying to buy guys that are going to outperform their price.
Yeah.
He's going to outperform his price. It might not be by a lot, but I do think that, he's someone that
hopefully
give us that 30 green dots at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Lockie Doverston is also on the list. Small forward from North. Giving me Isaac Kako vibes. He's going to score around the 50 mark, kick a couple snags. Might have a game or a quarter where he lights it up and goes bang, bang, kicks a couple.
Which Kako was solid last year, wasn't he?
I actually had a look at my pre-season piece that I wrote in 2025, and I wrote about how Isaac Kako had that massive, I don't even think it was opening round. It might have been the Pracky game.
Yeah, it might have been. I do remember.
I was like, this is going to be his highest score of the season. Yes. Don't get too excited.
Did you get it right?
I did. Yeah. Toot my own horn. But Doverston, I think, he's going to give North someone that they've probably lacked. They haven't got a lot of crafty Nick Watson, Isaac Kako types, that small forward that can be quite dynamic and game-changing. So I think they're going to pump games into him, and hopefully he can just be a slow burn in the forward line. Like I said, an area where we're kind of struggling.
Well, I said that's only the second forward you've had there. Obviously, we're going to have to pick some rookies there. So just if he's locked into their side, which it sounds like he's going to be, he's in my side, and we probably almost have to pick him.
Yeah. Xavier Taylor, D's draftee, is a guy who I think he's generated a bit of buzz the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Intercepting, tall defender. Hopefully he can be like that Blake Howes type a couple of years ago.
Yes,
Came in,
okay.
had a couple of good games.
Sneaky,
I'm
yes.
trying to link all these guys to like...
It's easy to
I like that. That's good.
remember.
That's good. No, it's good.
Because I can picture Blake Howes like taking those +6s.
Yeah.
It does.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm so glad I jumped on this
It
one.
100% helps.
But I just wonder if he's going to be in there round one, if he's going to fit. Tall defender, so I don't expect Zach Reid type scoring out of him.
Yeah.
But he might be someone that he has like low lows but high highs and is able to hit a couple of 80 plus. And it sounds, I don't know what's going on with Stephen May, but if he's not in the mix, then there might be a spot in the starting 23.
Well, that's where the hype's kind of building from. All right, so let's say fast forward to round one and Xavier Taylor is named and debuting. Are you bumping him up?
At the moment, I've got Farrow and Newland on field
Yep.
in defence and Grill and Lindsay on my bench. Lindsay's probably not going to be there, so I'll probably pick Taylor.
So you would pick him?
Yeah. But I'm just having a look. I don't think there's any of the other defenders that I've reeled off that I haven't mentioned. So, yeah, I'd probably have Taylor. Ahead of the next guy I've got on my list as well is Lockie Blackiston, the Essendon guy, $399K. So
okay, so we are including those
that's
guys.
paying
on the
up a bit, but I'm like, I classify as like it's 400 and under. I'm like, he just makes the threshold.
No.
Yeah.
I agree that you
But if
might
he's
as well
gonna
treat
be
them as rookies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If he's going to be their lead ruck, I'm like, well, he only needs to play 4 games and he's probably going to get 60 plus in those 4 games.
Yeah.
Maybe then Nick Bryan comes back, or again, we've got some more DPP on the way and we can shuffle him out.
That's actually, that is an interesting sort of play you could look at, is in terms of if you got 3 or 4 weeks of cash generation out of him, traded him down, well, in round 4 or 5, usually we don't have enough cash on our rookies to upgrade at that point.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at like a Nick Dacos off his buy, or some of these other premiums that maybe you've got a mid-price, or someone that you think you can get to a premium, that could be, a way of generating that cash.
And I think, especially, I'm finding this year as I'm trying to build my first team, I'm like, all right, where's the value in these premiums, these guns? And I'm like, well, there's either not a lot of points on offer, or they've got an early buy and we're a bit hesitant to pick them.
Yeah.
So instead of paying up for, I don't know, let's
someone
say
you don't really want.
like Connor Rosees for one, for me, that I'm like, all right, am I just kind of following the herd and just picking him because he's the easy top defender? Should I pick Tom McCarthy, save $200,000, hope there's not too much difference in scoring, and that means that a 230K guy can become someone like Blackiston on my bench?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's a thought that I'm having.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is that why he's ranked? That immediately went through my head. I think we're getting to the bottom of it. I don't think I'm sacrificing Connor Rosie, but I like the idea of if you're struggling for that like last defender, to bump up to a 400K, one of those rookies if he's going to be playing early.
You listen back to this, and I reckon 80% of the stuff I say will come to fruition and be great. But they're the 20% like stuff like that. That's where they
come back to bite.
That's an inside enterprise, mine.
I've also got Sid Draper on the list. He was banged up a bit last year, didn't play a lot of games. I don't, he hasn't had a lot of reps this preseason already, and they're easing him back into footy. But he averaged 20 touches and 82 in the Sandville last year. He's one that I think is really going to be important for Adelaide. Like, they need that change of pace guy, that explosive midfield type. I just don't. I might be trying to manifest it happening. I just don't know if it's going to happen straight out of the gates or if at all in 2026. But he's got forward status. So, look, if he manages to play a couple of the pracky games and he's picked round one, it might be a nice heartbeat that hopefully can score. I think he went at about 40 points last year, but he was sub a lot and he wasn't getting a lot of opportunity.
I think he could definitely improve it. He was locked in my side when the game first came out.
Yeah.
Before, from what I heard, was injuries was the concern and that he wasn't fit. So, I mean, if he plays the pracky matches and is picked round one, I think I would probably, if I'm picking like a Dovison, I probably would rather take a flyer on a
I think so
a Sid Draper. It was fitness was the question.
And Adelaide, they've got this track record of kind of like the first year a rookie comes into the league, it's not throw him to the Wolves and give him a ton of AFL games. It's really develop him through the sandful. Dan Curtin it happened to, then he exploded last year.
Yeah.
The year before that was Billy Dowling.
Yeah.
Like, I remember he had a couple of 80-plus games post-buys that everyone was like, whoa, who's this kid? Where's he come from? So
even if it's not round one.
yeah, I'm
he's a
kind
guy
of
that could
hoping that
explode
Sid Draper
later
does
in the
that
season.
this year, becomes a downgrade target for us when he does start to fire and really click on all cylinders. A couple of other names I'll mention. Tobin Murray sounds like he's been doing good things at Freo's training.
He's a new name for me.
Yeah, mature ager. They took a flyer on him, picked somewhere in the 30s, I think, from memory.
Yeah.
But he was playing VFL footy last year. I'll get his numbers up. But yeah, it's a name that as a Dockers fan doing my research and my digging, I kept seeing him pop up. So played for Geelong's VFL team last year. Only averaged the 60.
Okay.
So, not incredible, but I could see him being a guy that adds a little bit of spark.
Right.
Sammy Swadling, 230k midfielder at Collingwood.
Okay.
He is an absolute fucking ball magnet. It's like numbers like Tom Powell coming out of the... I think he played Colts, Waffle Colts this year.
Yeah.
He averaged 35 touches and 117 points.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right.
Got to have him on the watch list.
Knowing how Collingwood's list's aging, I'm like, he might be one that comes in like round 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Hopefully everyone listening to this is like, like
Swadling.
that bloke. Yeah.
I remember that. Straight in. Okay.
So, yeah, he and Ollie Greaves is one that a lot of people were talking up throughout the draft. Slipped, ended up at Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Just another name to remember.
Yeah.
And then there's guys that I've got on the list here, like your Josh Gibcus, Jai Sarong.
Yes.
Dylan Patterson as well, out of Gold Coast.
There is one name
out of the Dogs.
I was going to say there's one name I've got in my side at the moment that wasn't on your list entirely, which has me slightly concerned.
Oh, go.
Leo Lombard from Gold Coast.
Yeah. I think
that, I mean, my thought was it sounds like he got a crack at the end of last year. If he wins that gig, he can be a heartbeat as a 230k.
Yeah. Given the scarcity we've got in the forward line, like if I was trying to make these ranks of like, all right, who are the guys that are the best chance of like playing a role for us in the fantasy season?
Yeah.
Probably throw him on the list. But I just wonder, I don't know if he's going to be able to lock a spot in Gold Coast team.
So he could just become a Camporale, for instance.
Yeah, he's giving me that vibe. But I hope he proves me wrong because he said we need these forwards to pick. But, and he's played, like, I think since he's a teenager, he's been playing with Gold Coast VFL side. So, look, if he's fit and they're picking him, he's someone that I think we can definitely invest in, especially as a forward. But, I wouldn't sell the farm for him. I don't think he's going to light it up. But
And it sounds like in terms of, maybe guys that come in later in the season, you've already taken us through some names. Plus, it's really just getting through to round 12 or whenever that mid-season draft is where we're going to get a bunch of basic
There's going to be a
prospects
couple of guys that, we've never heard of that I'm like, all of a sudden he's a forward downgrade target or he's like the injury crisis that struck Essendon last year. Then all of a sudden there was like 6 blokes to pick from. Yeah, the rookie crisis thing, I think it really is a myth. Yeah. Especially given, like, we've just reeled off a lot of names of the draftees, but there are guys like your Sid Drapers and Jagger Smiths who will benefit. Bo Allen, maybe, will benefit from having another year in the system. Yeah. That, the switched on fantasy coaches will see them doing good and will be able to jump.
I have actually just thought of one more name. Finlay McRae. A man that because I remember he's been a rookie for us in the past that I just watched him play. I thought, nah, I'm not doing this. And he's had 2 cracks at it, I think. From the sounds of things, I think he, just from what they've paid him and they brought him in, I think he might get a crack in the Eagles. It won't be as a full-time midfielder, obviously. It'll be, and it's a bit of a graveyard shift at the half-forward flank for the Eagles. But at 290k as a forward, I thought, he's not in my side, but
if we're playing waffle fantasy, Finlay McRae would be a great pick.
So you don't reckon he plays?
All right, well, to be honest,
we are shit, mate. You got to remember.
Yeah, he might be one that hopefully bobs up and is able to score. But I feel like it's either Robertson or him.
Okay.
Or like we've mentioned a lot of Eagles. I don't know if all of them are going to be able to go in and eat.
No. We brought in a lot of
I do think that they brought in a couple of guys of that type to boost the waffle side.
Okay.
I hope that Finlay McRae proves me wrong and can be an option. But if his last name wasn't McRae, we probably would have punted on him 3 years ago.
It's true. No, that's a very fair point. All right, just to wrap it up, let's do a fun little one. And I want to go through 3 players who haven't left your preseason fantasy side so far, and then maybe just to finish off, who is your preseason whipping boy? So who have you got in there, Fry, that 3 blokes that just have been locked in, and no matter how you've restructured, they've stayed there?
I'll ignore like your Harry Sheasels and the ones that everyone's got. I reckon Sam Lawler has been. Yeah, Sam Lawler's been in there for the bulk of the preseason for me.
Yes, I like that.
I liked him obviously as a cash cow connoisseur. Did a lot of homework on him last year and thought that he was going to be an absolute bull. Yeah. So injuries interrupted his year last year. It sounds like he's been thrown into the midfield, and they're going to keep giving him a ton of midfield reps in 2026. So if that's the case, I might be trying to manifest it once again.
No, I do. I love that. As a forward averaging 50, I mean, he should put 20 on that, surely.
Like, if he's hovering around 70, then I'm like, sweet, he's 15 points more. And in a line where there's clearly no rookies, I really think the value in the forward line is going to be important.
And that's what we were talking about, that, we might have to go more value in the forward line. I'm kind of envisioning like a Harley-type season last year, where he was more midfield, but obviously the Eagles struggled and Richmond struggled, and maybe averages close to 70, but he's a gun, isn't he?
What's another one? Jack Steele's been in my side pretty much. I think if we're not picking him, that's, maybe not getting too cute, but I'm like, he's only 30. He just got discarded by St Kilda. Yeah. Hopefully that lights a bit of a fire under him. He's like, he's only a few years removed from averaging 120.
Yeah, we just did the midfielders pod, and I think it was like second half of last year, since like round 10, he averaged 109 if you take out that sub-affected score.
Yeah.
Well, he had the sub-affected score and a couple of games where he was 30% midfield because he got thrown
so
forwards.
when he had the role.
The week I traded him in, I reckon.
So, he's a 105 to 110 dude as a mid.
I think so.
Apparently, that we didn't mention in that, I've seen that Jack Vine is going to be out for the start of the season, or he's a while away. So, I mean, he's going to have to be in there full time.
Yeah,
so
he'll be there.
I love that.
Go-to guy. He's got a competent ruckman feeding him the footy as well. So
it's true.
I think he's going to be a ball. And I am a huge believer in Colby McKercher.
Yes.
I picked him in like every keeper league possible. I've had him for years, and I think that he and Sheasel are like 1A, 1B as North's best players. And it's only going to be a matter of time before we see McKerch doing some of the stuff Sheasel's doing. So that's my third.
I love it. Who are your 3? Bush.
Yeah, you were probably right there, mate, about the guarantees. So, mine are Rosie, Sheasel and Butters.
Everyone's guarantees, eh?
Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's
my
team for a reason.
The rest of my team, apart from those rookies,
it's all shuffling.
Yeah, it's pretty much shuffled.
Fair.
So, I would be lying if I said anyone else.
No, very fair. So I had Colby as well. He's just been locked in there for me. Jai Caldwell has been one. Loved him last year. Obviously got injured, which was unfortunate. That's the concern. But if he's playing in preseason and looking fit, I think he's a 110 to 115 dude as a midfielder. And I'm surprised at how popular he is, but I guess that's just because of these buyers and who else are you going to kind of pay up for?
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of thing. And lastly, Max Gawn has actually not left my side at all.
Wow.
So Cherry has like kind of come in and out, but I think I've settled on their early fixtures being so easy that I think I have to have him. But yeah, Munter Gawn, he's been there for me and not moved. So I know he's priced at 113, but I think I'm hoping that there's enough rookies to kind of like carry me through in that sense. I can ride them through best 18, and it's left me a fucking shit ton of cash left over that I've got to spend somewhere. And I'm looking at the other options. Luke Jackson, I mean, if Sean Darcy's not playing, I think he probably becomes Luke Jackson. Yeah. But outside of that, I don't like any of the other rucks that I've been messing around with, apart from like a Timmy English who has a bye.
Yeah.
So, just no buy, and I think he's still going to be like a 110 dude. I don't really care about the ruck rules. So
yeah, I think the ruck line's been probably the one that I've shuffled the most.
Yeah.
But I'm shuffling all the guys at the top of the pecking order. Like, it's Gawn, Cherry, English, Jackson.
Yes,
at the moment, I've got English and Jackson in there. But that's been a line that I'm like, I think we just got, like you said, we got to spend the money somewhere.
Yeah.
There's not a up-and-coming stud rookie or a, like Nick Bryan and Kieran Briggs and all these guys that we're like, are they the value? That's where there's just too much risk.
Messing around in the rucks. It's a fuck around find out job for me. Who is your preseason whipping boy to finish it off?
Liam Reedy has definitely been chopped and changed the moat.
Yes,
hit the little trash emoji, and then I'm like, all right, I need a forward. Like,
but if he plays, it would be great.
And as an ex-Dockers man, like it feels like it's becoming a pastime for Freo to develop a ruck and then just send him out the door.
Discard
Lloyd
him.
Meek, now Liam Reedy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who they drafted this year, but 3 years from now he'll go
Yeah.
to Essendon or something.
I mean, he was dominating the waffle, wasn't he? Which is a real competition. The only concern there for me is, well, Matt Flynn dominates the waffle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but even if he comes in and like, yeah, if he could be, he'll be 70s if he's playing ruck. It's just obviously Mark Pidnett is in the way. But for how long can you just persist with Mark Pidnett as a mid-table side? What, he's like close to 30. I don't know. Reedy's what, 25?
Yeah,
I don't
find
know.
out.
Surely he
Interesting
gets a crack.
25, yeah.
Surely he gets a crack.
But he's another one, and I think part of the reason why I keep punting him is I'm like, all right, outside of getting 30 or 40 hit-outs, you're probably only getting like 8 touches. You might sneak a goal here, lay 4 tackles. But
That's so true.
yeah, like he's a meat axe.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's fair. Who's your whipping boy? Bush?
Well, I don't know. He's currently in my side, but he keeps going in and out.
no, exactly.
Harley Reid, probably.
Yes.
he's
Yeah.
another one. For
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
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 Very
so,
good.
it's just like, as an Eagles fan as well, I want to go watch him play and enjoy his fantasy scoring. But
He
at the
needs
same
something
time,
to go and watch.
I don't know. It's a tough one. But he's in the side at the moment.
He is sounding scary.
That's the thing, isn't it? We just have to
Brownlow,
see what
you-
happens in the preseason, I think. If he... Brownlow.
I'm
Don't get
thinking
ahead of
Brownlow,
yourself,
you-
mate. Bloody hell.
Yeah, I'll take an 80-plus average first.
Yeah,
and then
it's true. Baby steps.
dare to dream.
Yeah,
though.
yeah. We'll see what happens in the match, him in the preseason game as well. If
No,
he
very good.
produces there.
Yeah, my whipping boy, who's now, I think he's been whipped and he's out.
Oh, no.
I've decided now. Caleb Sarong.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So all pre-season, he's been kind of in and out for me.
Yeah.
But I think I've kind of settled on, and it was that discussion that I think you just kind of settled it for me earlier in this episode that I don't know what I'm trusting for there to say there's upside there. Something he did 2 years ago. Because now we've got 18 months of evidence where he's actually been like a 90 to 95 guy.
And
so,
I think like with him,
Yeah.
Brayshaw, Hayden Young, like they're all on
It's
their
true.
day. You're like, oh, they're great. One of them's going to have 120, but I'm like, well, they can't all have 120.
Yeah.
Nah.
So
I never thought of Freo as too many mouths to feed, but you're right. There is, if Dossie Young's in there as well.
Luke Jackson wants to play as a midfielder. Like
True.
all of a sudden,
You guys should be good this year, surely.
Clark will sprint
Fuck,
up
mate.
the field a bit as well. Push
yeah.
up.
Freo's just like my fantasy season, mate. We should be good every year. We find a way to fumble the bag.
I reckon this is the year, mate. This is the year.
Yeah.
Well, look, Fry, thanks for joining us. And I mean, I know I've learnt plenty through that.
Nah, it's been really good, actually.
Plenty to take into pre-season as well, because obviously starting next weekend, we've actually got some footy to watch, which
Yeah,
will be
exciting.
great. It goes from kind of, all theoretical to we can actually see these kids play, and it's exciting times.
I think one of the things to look for as well when we're watching those games is the role that the rookies have.
Okay.
It's very easy to get sucked in and seduced by the numbers. Like, oh, this rookie that one of the guys who I mentioned, I don't know, let's say Sam Cumming from Richmond comes out and has like 25 touches. Like, oh, we've got to put him on our field.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that we should bump Annabelle or someone like Jagger Smith out of the order. So just watch the role that they're playing. I think that that's going to give us the best blueprint for what they're going to look like when the real deal starts.
Very good, mate.
Yeah, that's
and
good
for people that want to keep up with your updates throughout the pre-season and into the season, where can they find you?
You can find me at by Alex Fry on Twitter. I still have the Sportsbyfry moniker and label, so there'll be
Right.
some stuff produced there. But I'm, like I said at the start, on board again to do the rookies for the Dream Team Talk boys. So I'm sure Warney will be retweeting half my stuff, so shouldn't be
he's
too hard to track
He's
down.
a great man, the Warn Dog. Well, thanks, mate, for joining us, and I can't wait to get into the real stuff.
My pleasure, boys. Thanks for having me.
See you, legends.